Hello, America. This is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is August the 6th, 2016. I have a few videos here about the hostage exchange with Iran and how we paid ransom for them. So let's get started.
As we were implementing the deal to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, to resolve other long-standing concerns that we had with Iran. And that included securing the release of 5 American citizens who'd been unjustly detained in Iran and closing out a long-standing financial dispute.
Presidential Press Secretary Josh Earnest, and I don't think there's ever been someone more appropriately named. Think of that name, Josh Earnest, joking about sincerity. So that's the explanation today about the ransom. The ransom the Obama administration played out, $400 million given to Iran. You heard Josh Earnest say it was part of a long-standing financial dispute, even though those American hostages mentioned, or prisoners, were released about the same time that money was given over to the Iranians. Let's discuss it now with an award-winning panel. I'll grant them awards of being just all-around great guys. First, Skyping in from Holland, Michigan, former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Pete Hoekstra, my old pal from the Hill. Pete's currently a Shillman Senior Fellow for the Investigative Project on Terrorism. He's also the author of the book, Architects of Disaster, The Destruction of Libya. And joining us from Newsmax Washington, retired Army Colonel Patrick Murray. He served in Iraq, Russia, and at the United Nations. Patrick is the author of the book, Government is the Problem. Donald Trump, gentlemen, weighed in on this via Twitter. Let's take a look at what he had to say. He tweeted, "Our incompetent Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, was the one who started talks to give $400 million in cash to Iran. Scandal." And we see the tweet right there. Now, Petey, typically when lawyers get this going on, it wasn't exactly $400 million. All sorts of different currency, all different denominations, but the bottom line is it was a payoff, it was a ransom, correct?
That's what I would look at. Josh Earnest is talking about, well, we closed out this deal, that deal, and that deal. You think they would have had a major press conference and said, we have started a new road with Iran. We have an Iran nuclear agreement. We've closed out this financial dispute, and we've obtained the release of our hostages. And they talked a lot about the release of the hostages. They talked a lot about the Iranian deal, which I still think is a bad deal. But they forgot to ever mention that the day this all happened is they put 400 million in euros and Swiss francs on an unidentified plane, unmarked plane in Switzerland. And they had pallets of money and they flew it to Iran. And they just happened to forget to tell the American people in Congress this was a quid pro quo, regardless of what Josh Earnest says.
Well, Colonel, I want you to hear Donald Trump this afternoon at his rally in Daytona Beach doubling down against this ransom. Let's listen to what Mr. Trump had to say, and then I'll get your reaction afterwards.
In order to embarrass us further, Iran sent us the tapes. Right? It's a military tape. It's a tape that was a perfect angle, nice and steady, nobody getting nervous because they're going to be shot because they're shooting a picture of money pouring off a plane. And then you say, where does that money go? Who gets that money? I doubt it's the people of Iran. I doubt it. But you say, who gets the money? Then you also say, who's authorized to give cash?
And so there is Trump laying it out as a guy who has a nose for finance and money. Your reaction, Colonel?
Well, if anybody knows publicity, it's Donald Trump. And the Iranians aren't too bad either. And regardless of what Josh Earnest and Barack Obama and this administration say, listen to what the Iranians have been saying. And their
Iranian Revolutionary Guard generals have been saying this was explicitly an exchange. We got all of this money from the Americans in order to release these hostages. That's exactly what happened. And in terms of your lead-in that you mentioned a while ago, that it's not exactly $400 million. That's right. Did you know our Department of Justice pushed back on this and said you can't send American dollars to Iran. It's illegal. So what our government, the Obama administration did was they laundered $400 million of U.S. taxpayer dollars through Europe, through Switzerland, and they gave them euros and Swiss francs. And I never would have thought that I would have seen the day that a U.S. administration is actually using taxpayer dollars to fund the world's biggest state sponsor of terror.
And Pete, just quickly for your reaction on this, laundering funds to pay a ransom. Can you imagine how the leftist media would cover this had a Republican president done it?
I can imagine, and it wouldn't be anything of what we're seeing today. It's almost total silence. You know, it was not only laundering money, but remember, JD, American citizens were trying to lay claim to this money. They were suing Iran for what Iran had done to them. That money is now gone. It's funding terrorism to do more damage to Israel, U.S., and European interests.
Now let's have a peek at that video that Trump is talking about, where it shows the pallets of money. The Islamic Republic added an expensive offer to the equation: the release of 7 Iranian prisoners in the United States, $1.7 billion, and the lifting of sanctions against 16 Iranians who were prosecuted by the U.S. legal system in the unjust excuse of sanctions violations. But these were not the Iranians' only demands. Lifting sanctions against Sef Bank was added to Iran's list. All of this in return for the release of only 4 American citizens, a win-lose deal that benefits the Islamic Republic of Iran and hurts the United States. The Democrats' concern was mostly due to the fact that Obama's rivals might find out. And then we have this Fox Business interview of one of the hostages that were released from Iran.
Describe to me how that release process went. Take us back to that fateful night when you were set free.
Okay. First of all, I'm so thankful for my freedom and my, nothing is being like free and life of being free. So, but I just remember the night that we've been in an airport, just take hours and hours there. And I asked one of the intelligence police head that was with us that why you are not letting us to go to the Switzerland plane. And he told me we are waiting for another plane, and if that plane take off, then we're going to let you go.
So did they actually take you out of the prison that you were in? And I want to get to the conditions that you had to live through in just a moment, but they took you out of your prison and brought you to an airport?
Yeah, we were at the airport for a night, and, they told us...
You slept there at the airport?
Minutes. Yes, for a night. And, they told us you're going to be there for 20 minutes, but it took like hours and hours. We slept at the airport, and when I asked them why you don't let us go, because the plane was there, pilot was there, everyone was ready that we leave the country, they said we are waiting for another plane, and until that plane doesn't come, we never let you go.
So eventually another plane came, and did they then put you on that plane, or were they just waiting for that plane? And, I think you know where I'm going with this. Or were they effectively waiting for the money to come in before they then let you take off?
Yeah, they didn't talk about money. They just told us about told me about the plane. And, the plane of Prime Minister of Switzerland was already in Iran, which, we came back with that plane, actually. So the reason that they said you're here in the airport was just because we are waiting for another plane.
Okay, so what happened? Did the other plane eventually land, or did it land at another airport somewhere else?
After that, they never told anything to me, and I didn't see anything,
So do you have any idea how many hours you actually waited for this other plane to land?
For a night, we went to the airport, I think it was like 2, 3 p.m., and we waited there for a whole night, and we, fly, I think, the day after at 10 in the morning.
So the girl keeps asking him, if it was a ransom payment, and he just wouldn't budge because he's been in an Iranian prison. I kind of don't blame him. You know, he wants his life, and he nicely said, I've been in this prison. People were killed. Every Wednesday they kill 100 prisoners and stuff like that. So I kind of got the hint. I'll leave all the links below if you'd like to watch it. Anyway, after seeing that and seeing Trump, I mean, I really enjoy watching someone in a suit with a microphone that has the authority for people to listen and video him speaking the truth. But I'm always skeptical, and I suggest you should be too. I'm not saying Trump is good or bad, or you should or shouldn't vote for him. Some things, when they seem too good to be true, they just might be. Anyway, this is Call of Duty Goddess signing off, and as always, I've got your 6.